All right. So everybody out there, happy Sunday. Thank you so much. Great to see your face and tuning in. We have an incredible little live chat going on today. We have Mack Kiteboarding. We have the owner, Steve. We have the legend, Aaron. And of course, we have my rock star over there, Gwen. Little live chat going on today. We have Mack Kiteboarding. We have the owner, Steve. We have the legend, Aaron. And of course, we have my rock star over there, Gwen. Interesting. I'm getting some background music. Are you guys getting that?
Well, maybe we can. Well, while Damien is like fixing some technical issues here, so Michigan, and it's my first time here, and actually I was kind of like blown away with just like the condition that we get here. I mean, I don't know. We are kind of like in the middle of like nowhere, or like not somewhere where you would think.
We're in the middle of America here. We're in the middle of the country.
Is a thing.
Yeah.
And like yesterday, even though there was like no wind early in the morning, there was some swell. People were out surfoiling. So this place is like pretty mind-blowing. That's something that you wouldn't really expect. The water is like
it was cold,
tropical looking, but not
it was
tropical.
Cold yesterday. Now that's coming back. That's coming back for us here today. It'll slowly warm up as the south wind brings that water back. But we got hit with some side off for a few days. Blows our nearshore water, which is warm. It blew that out and recirculated cold water up, and boy, that's a stunner. You hit the water thinking you're in, shorty weather, and you better have a full suit and boots. That was
all right. So I got things going a little bit better here, guys. I apologize. That was on my end. I just want to say, everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Steve and Aaron, these guys are legends in the sport. Mack Kiteboarding, everybody's heard of it. It's one of the greatest, most well-known stores out there out of Michigan. Grand Haven, if you haven't been there, it's one of the most magical places. I used to compete at one of the longest ongoing events in our industry, and I'll let Steve go into it. One, Steve, we want to ask you, give us a little background on Mack Kiteboarding, how it started. And then King of the Great Lakes, one of the greatest events that I've ever been to, and I always would try to get to because it's absolutely spectacular. The place is beautiful. I say it, and I truly mean this. I think that area has some of the nicest people on the planet, and that's always was my reason to always go back. And obviously, it was just such a spectacular place. So let's hear a little background on Mack Kiteboarding.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for having Aaron and I today, Damo and Gwen. Appreciate that. So my brother started the company in 1981, and he hired me the first summer, and we were a little bitty kite shop up in Mackinac City. So this is our 40th anniversary. So we've been here for a long, long time. And makes me old also.
Yeah, I wasn't even born.
And neither was Damo. That's why I keep Aaron around, because I need another old guy. So in 1999, we brought our first Whippicas on board because I wanted to learn to kiteboarding. To kiteboard. It looked really exciting. And it was great because I could buy them and my wife didn't know. It's perfect. And so, of course, in 1999, the sport was exceedingly dangerous and impossible. And I wasn't a waterman, so I didn't know anything about water. So I think it took me until about 2001 or 2002 to ride upwind. But we struggled through it, and we almost got out of the business in 2005. And then we got the first crossbow in, actually, from Cabrina.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the kite technology. I mean, that particular kite and then the Switchblade are what changed the sport for everybody. And we slowly grew, and we do online. We're in our little schoolhouse here in Michigan, and we just set up a wingboard center this year. So we're always trying to progress the sport, build new riders, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Amen.
Aaron, what's a little background on you? I mean, obviously, you grew up with the rock star next to you there.
Well, I have to start with the background on Aaron. I was walking down the beach and there's this bum laying under a surfboard. And I said, "Son, do you need a no?"
It wasn't far from that. Well, when Steve had the Whippica Classics in the shop, and Mark, a friend of another well-known local rider, Mark Hooksma, he and I grew up surfing around here on the Great Lakes, and Mark was actually living out in California at the time. And I saw in a surfer magazine, like on the back, it was a complete and total afterthought on the back page, lower quarter. It was an image of a guy on a Whippica Classic with a surfboard, and he was airing like over the photographer somehow. And it was like an upward angle shot, and it just caught me. And it was like right between the eyes. I'm like, what is this? This looks incredibly fun. And I remember telling Mark that, dude, you got to flip to Surfer Mag, page 83 or whatever it was, all the way in the back. And he was like, oh, yeah, it looks good. 101, how to rip. 45-minute VHS cassette. That's how we taught ourselves, And so Mark and I watched that video, I don't know, a dozen times. And I'm like, well, all right, we feel like we can go and not kill ourselves. And so Steve let us take the Whippica Classics out, and by the way, the pumps on those are about as big as this microphone right here. It's a little hand pump that, by the time you were actually rigged up and ready to go, you needed a break. And yeah, thank you so much for that, because Steve took a chance definitely on me and hooked us up and helped us to get into the sport. And
what's super amazing is Aaron is still on the Whippica kite from.
Yeah, I still have them, Damo. I still have them.
Well, no. What's funny, Damo, is that Mark rides Cabrini Kites. He's our local sponsored rider.
I know. We wanted to give a shout out to Mark, dude. We love Mark. He's
he's skinny brother.
Yeah.
His doppelganger is here at the event, Damo. It was the most great. Oh, I kid you not. There was a guy, I don't know his name. I think he was with F1. I landed his kite, and I'm getting ready to go over and throw a bro hug. I thought it was Hooksma. I'm like, what? That's not Mark. I think absolutely not Mark.
It's Mark's missing child. Hey,
oh my gosh!
Well, I was going to send you a picture of this guy and said, "Do you know you have a son?"
It is not close. It is. Oh man, it is spot on. The same trucker hat, the same hair hanging out, the same height, the same walk.
So this passion that you guys had, first off, congratulations for 40 years and 21 years of the King of the Great Lakes event. But this passion that kind of started it, I'm curious to ask, wing foiling starting this new push. Are you guys seeing that same just explosion of excitement again, or foiling in general? What are your guys' thoughts there?
So again, like I said, one of my big things is try new stuff. And you know what? Sometimes stuff doesn't work and you get out of it. We were early on in the stand-up paddle game. It was like, let's try it. And then when I walked into Sam's Club and saw paddle boards, I'm like, we're out of this game. Because there was no skill. And when foiling started, probably 5 years ago, 24. When did Lift come out with their first foils? 2014, something like that?
Yeah, it was about 7 years ago. It kind of started happening, and then I'd say 5 or something.
Yeah. So I think 2014, 2015, and we brought them in, and our guys started getting on them. And then Tucker, a lot of people know who Tucker is because he does all of our wing and foil videos. He does Foil Fridays. And he's pretty well known in the industry. And I just said, open them up and ride them. And trust me, he's opened up everything we've ever gotten.
But he took that to heart.
He took that to heart. So we really got into it 5 or 6 years ago, and we just see it's changing all of wind-related sports in a really good way. It's extending the wind range. It's extending the skill levels. It's opening it up to, surf breaks around the world are full of people. They're become a mess. And now they can jump on a wing surfer or even a prone board and head down the line. And so we jumped on it early because it's like, this is going to be big. And honestly, when we started it 3 years ago, when we first got the first Nash wings in, I didn't think it was going to be nearly this big, but it's going to be huge.
Yeah, we feel the same way. Obviously, Gwen and I we just love seeing people that didn't have the ability to, maybe they were nervous to try kiting. They have the opportunity to you know, dabble in this in a safe fashion, and obviously foiling is just changing the game with everything. So
yeah, I would say like throughout the tour that I've done with the RV, on the West Coast, like wing foiling was like so big that every time we would do a demo, we would hardly have anybody wanting to demo a kite.
Wow. Yeah.
Where like on the East Coast, I would say it was still mostly kites, but like for sure, like things are changing, and like I mentioned earlier, like yesterday people were like surf foiling and having like a great time riding like tiny waves forever, where like you used to like look at this and be like, you know, there is nothing that can be done.
Right.
And now it's like just like amazing condition, you know.
Yes.
So it's like for sure like foiling has been changing the game in so many locations, and yeah, it's like super fun to get into it.
So obviously you guys are saying, you know, obviously the trending is foiling and wing foiling. My question to you guys, question came in. Are you guys running out of boxes? as our world's running out of supply chain here.
Well, actually, we sometimes people get boxes from us and they go, where did you get this box? We do try to recycle as much as possible. And I was laughing when I walked in the shop the other day and I had one of my dog food boxes and I saw a box up and I'm like, come on, guys. So no, boxes are still good because we're really good about recycling.
Well, that's the best you can do. I'm glad you guys are recycling them. Do you guys get questions? How many phone calls or how many questions do you guys get? And this is, you know, a little off the subject of water, but how many people call in about the winging for snow, ice, land? Is that going to grow? Do you see potential there? Do you see that growing? Because right now it's more of the water talk, but I kind of feel like the snow and ice and that kind of area hasn't really even been tapped.
Yeah, and that's fun. That was actually my first experience with it. I took one of the Cabrina wings out last winter on a frozen lake to have a go on it, and just I felt like it was fun because it's kind of like when we do kiteboard lessons and we've had somebody snow kiting first, by removing the water element, it takes away the complication to it, or maybe any fear that somebody has about being on the water. But I felt like on the snow and ice, I think as long as you're waxed up for the conditions, excuse me, then I think it was a lot of fun. And I felt like it was good to have probably 20 knots, 18, 20 knots to get moving, but or to stay moving good in the snow. But that, I don't know, I can totally see that coming along. And I think I've seen some video of people with ice skates and a wing just cooking. So that's definitely absolutely. I could foresee that for sure in colder climates.
What kind of condition you guys get here in the winter? Does the lake like freeze? Or?
Yeah, out here on the big lake, on Lake Michigan, we'll get icebergs, and so that's kind of the only thing that really shuts us down from getting in the water.
Perfect.
Once the icebergs, you know, we're kind of held in at a certain point. It's you might be able to get into the water because you can maybe air over and get into the water, but then you might have a 10-foot wall of ice that you got to get out of the water with. And so that's just not fun.
Well, but I think Aaron, he was referring to, so like all of our inland lakes, they all freeze over.
Yeah.
So well, the Lake Michigan's just to the west of us here, but just to the east of us is Muskegon Lake, and it freezes over. But because we're right along the coast here, we're pretty temperate in climate. You know, we get about 100 inches of snow every year, but our lakes do freeze over. But the snow is generally, we have a fair amount of snow cover and it's a little bit sticky. Yeah. So Aaron's a snowboarder. So he rides on a snowboard whereas I use skis. And skis, I think, are just a little easier because you can move around a little easier. But we do have all of our lakes pretty much freeze over for a couple of months, sometimes longer. If you go to the other side of the lake in Wisconsin, I think they freeze up for like 6 or 7 months.
Go Pack, go.
So and so yeah, we see the sport, the wing, getting people on wings in the winter as a really good way to do it for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I was just curious. It kind of hasn't been talked about a lot. You know, it's more just water based right now, but
yeah,
you know, I kind of see some potential there, you know, in places that you could just go explore because you have you don't have so much line length and issues
Yeah.
of dangling and catching stuff. And what in Michigan are you guys seeing? People trending more to the wing, or still huge kite scene, or what is your guys? What are you guys seeing, or is it kind of just a mix, or people dabbling and want to try it, or
what do you think? I think still kite heavy, but people are definitely warming up to wing.
Yeah. So one thing that we always have in Michigan, and I always try to tell this to people, it's like, we have about a 6-month season. The hardcore guys are getting in 9 months, but you got to be committed to get 9 months in Michigan. And so we got about it. So we're always trending behind everybody a little bit by a year or two, because, if you're in Florida, you can go a year round. And of course you don't have any wind in the summer, but so wing is growing steady, but kite is still the big push. Our wing surf lessons, they slowly were ticking up toward the end of the summer. So I think next year we're going to see a big boom in it, as well as we're really trying to push it toward the beginners. We want to get the newbies out there.
Yeah.
So, and then what about, a lot of your business online, so customers are like not necessarily here. Do you see how is the wing, part of your business like going?
So I would say we're what about 50-50 on phone calls right now?
Yeah,
on emails
easily.
and phone calls, we're about 50-50.
Yep.
So yeah, and the problem with the wing people, we love the wing people. I don't know, that didn't sound right. The wing nuts. They're the early adapters. And so they're tech geeks. And so you get on it. And honestly, I don't wing foil yet. And Aaron can wing a little bit. Yeah. We've got 3 guys on staff who are pretty good. And we got Tucker, who's phenomenal. So we're this fall, I told a couple of my guys who can wing, it's like, okay, we got to raise your game a whole bunch, because people need to know we're really particular about giving you the right answer, not an answer. And it is a challenge to keep up with all the technical questions people have. I think in another year, now that the gear is sorted out, the gear got sorted out this year, so that helped a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, winging will continue to grow, and we're moving past just the early adapter phase right now.
So is the tech?
That's what they see all the pros riding, and that's what all the more experienced surfers are riding, if that's what their flavor is. But it's like, hey, start with the longboard, fun board, hybrid, down to a fish, then hit your 6.0. And I feel the same kind of thing with wingboard volume. Go big. You'll never regret, unless it's just a transportation issue, you'll never regret going too big to start with, to have enough volume underfoot to allow you to actually experience winging. Because if you go too small, you're going to experience a lot of floundering, and that's not
I was going to
fun.
say swimming.
And I feel like I don't know if our egos are involved with this or what, but it's like, look, man, just size appropriately. You'll have fun. It'll get you the footing that you need to experience this sport in the first place. Because if not, you're going to be sitting out there a lot, and you're going to be frustrated.
Wing foiling is so hard, and so like you don't really want to make it harder than what it already is.
Yeah.
And what we always say with Damien is like, right now, like the market is like just like so hot that like if you get a beginner burn or like something that's going to be easier for you to start getting into the sport, you will have no problem selling it, because right now everybody wants to get into it. So if you have a beginner burn, like it's gonna go like right away. So I definitely, we always say it, start with bigger, and then if you have to sell it in 6 months, sure, do that. But you might not have to sell it as well. Like
keep it as your light wind board, or
exactly.
loan it to a friend.
Well, your wife will get into it, and then your brother, and then your cousin, and then you're screwed, and then you still have it forever because everybody wants to borrow your gear.
And one of the things we said, Damo, as we were getting calls, and I can remember having to talk people off the ledge a little bit about the board volume thing, and I'm like, listen, let me put this back on you. If I'm on the phone with a customer and I'm saying, hey, how quickly do you want to learn this sport? Do you want to learn it in a week, in a month, in a season? Because we'll say prescribe you the volume for each one of those 3 scenarios. So it's always like, well, I kind of I kind of want to, you know, I'd like to learn in like a week. I was like, all right, let's get back up into the appropriate volume range, because that's what's going to put a smile on your face.
That's why he works for me, Dave.
Yeah,
I can prescribe you the proper amount of time. I mean,
well, if we're talking doctor, Tucker's the doctor in this case. So we're all just interns, I guess, at best.
I mean, to put it into perspective, like Damien is like, you know, like world champion in kiting. Like when you got into winging, like, you know, how did it go? Like, share that experience, Damien.
Mine was exactly, I needed the phone call to Mack because
I should have put you there right away.
I literally took like the smallest board. It was blowing like, it was literally like hurricane near us. So it was like the best wind. And I couldn't even get up. And it was like 30 plus. And like Jeremy Green, who's at Jupiter Kiteboarding, and John Modica, and some of these guys were riding on these big boards. And I'm like, I can do this with the little board. You know, I couldn't even ride. I didn't even ride. I was like, this is the hardest sport ever, dude. I was like, this is, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm into this. But, you know, as we were talking, you know, Steve, you kind of mentioned something earlier, you know, you guys are so respected. You're a massive, incredible, you know, shop that does service all over the world. And, you know, we always get the question, and I think it's an important one, is, you know, what makes you guys so successful? And, you know, you kind of tapped on it earlier, actually, before the call. It's just, you know, you guys really value, you know, training your employees, and obviously instead of just answering with, I think, you know, the best knowledge you can come up with. And I'd love to hear more in depth why you know, what do you value and what makes you guys so unique and special?
So, you know, like I said, I've been doing it for 40 years, and I've made every mistake in the book, and I've made a lot of good decisions. That's how life works. And, you know, years ago, we coined a phrase. There was a guy, we watched some sales thing, and he said, sales that wear well. And like Aaron said, you know, I want to sell somebody a 120 liter board because I want them to learn how to wing. It's way more important to get new customers who learn how to wing and stay in the sport than it is to make a sale. And so we really, you know, everybody in the staff, that's just the rule of thumb. It's like, we want to make sure Damo doesn't buy that small board and get the snot kicked out of him, throw it in his garage. And never takes it out again. Then the sport has lost a customer, whether they're our customer or just the sport in general. We've lost an ambassador. So we really, you know, I had a guy who I was talking to a guy on the beach yesterday, and he goes, yeah, you talked me out of buying a kite. And I go, how many kites you buy for me this year, John? He goes, 3. So you know, our goal is, you know, long-term customers. Again, we just want to keep people in the sport and having them be successful. And kiteboarding and wing foiling and foiling, they're all challenging sports. Don't get me wrong. You know, there's lots of rock stars, lots of people do a great job, but there's a challenge to all of them. And if you have the right gear, particularly nowadays, because gear is so good, they're going to be successful. And it's the goal. Get every customer successful.
And if somebody wanted to go visit Grand Haven and your guys', you know, lesson centers and stuff, when's the best time of the year that would be a good time to visit you guys?
So we offer lessons mid-May through early October. The best time for lessons in Michigan are September, because we have wind and warm water.
As we're sitting here this morning,
how warm
I didn't find like the motivation or the energy yet to like even go in the water, but
it's normally beautiful. I mean, and it is beautiful out today, and the weather flipped. We had a low pressure sitting over us, Damo, for past better part of a week that just had us in a headlock, and it was rain and cool weather, and it was somewhat welcome because I think we were over 95 degrees in humidity. I did not mind busting out the flannel. That was welcome. But yeah, at least I feel like for this event, I'll put a priority on wind. It's nice to have beautiful weather, but I would much rather have good wind, and we've been fortunate with this event.
Do you guys have any bigger plans for the future? Any like trends that you're seeing that you want to share that you think are, you know, something people should try out there? Is there anything that's kind of like sparking your interest that you want to share with people out there?
Well, you know, I go back to, I want to grow the sport. And right now, wind sports in general have always had a small audience because they're challenging, whether it's windsurfing, and we don't do windsurfing, but whether you're a windsurfer, whether you're a kiteboarder, even if you want to sail, sailing is, you got to get a boat, you got to have a place to keep it. It's challenging. And so our big goal in the next year or two is, if you go to our website, we're going to be pushing wing boarding as well as wing foiling. And the perfect example is Aaron's wife, Lisa, and he's got a 10-year-old son, River. And my goal is to, we have the little fin that goes in the bottom from Slingshot. We have a fin that goes in the bottom of your stand-up paddleboard. It's $100 and you get a small wing. And we have a series of how to learn how to be on a board and in the water, like you were talking about earlier, Damo, how people don't understand boards and being in the water and that type of thing. We want to make it so his wife, Lisa, goes, hey, it's windy. Instead of going paddling today, I'm going to pull out my wing and I'm going to have a great time. There's 2 million paddle boards in garages around America. And we need to get more people into our sport. And for the first time that I can remember, and I've been doing, wind sports for about 20 years, we have a new audience. And like you said, Damo, a safe way to teach them and make them successful.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. And it's the truth. We've been, I think in our first videos too, we were telling everybody, like, if you have an SUP, just jump on it. If you can stand on it, grab a wing and just play with it, because it's a great way to get started in a safe, fun way. You'll have more fun than you even can imagine just giving it a shot, and it can branch into maybe the wing foiling. But it's really cool to hear you, Steve, break that down from wing boarding and wing foiling. It's pretty unique. That's actually the first time I've heard that. So that was kind of unique.
Well, I will confess, we've been calling it wing surfing, and we've been trying to come up with a term. And we were talking to the guys at Slingshot, and they were calling it wing boarding. So I got to give them the credit. So
yeah, back in Napig in New York during the demo, there was this like 7-year-old girl, and she was out like winging on a inflatable stand-up paddle, and that's like, so safe, because now your board is like, soft, so like for a kid, you can fall. The wing is, also inflated, so no problem. And she was out and going like out and back. She was actually like jibing on the stand-up paddle. And her dad was like, just like picking her up downwind and just walking back upwind. But like, she was having like such a great time. And that's sometimes what like winging, has been like very challenging for some people learning, because you kind of go straight into like, what you see like already experienced riders doing, and that's it's pretty difficult. So some people try to get do exactly that, and then they get discouraged and get out of the sport. So for sure, like finding ways to make it accessible and maybe a bit of more like beginner friendly stage, I think is for sure like needed. And
absolutely. And that little 7-year-old girl is most likely going to become a wind sports enthusiast, because of that, because that was accessible for her and her family. And that's that's what we want. We enjoy this sport so much of chasing wind and being on the water. And I think that's one of the things that really helps to drive us as in businesses. It's our passion. We love doing this, and more importantly, we love to see people succeed when they try it too for the first time, or whether they're beginner or intermediate or advanced level riders. It's just something that's fun to share, quite honestly, and that's really.
I feel like so it's not like always that we see. When you talk about like brands, shops, we are all very passionate, and so we have been putting a lot of time into it, and sometimes you tend to forget about the beginner stage because you are like far past from that. So it's very important, like you guys are doing, to like stay connected to the people at the beach, like talk to them, talk to the new people that are getting into the sport, know the challenges that they are facing, and try to address that rather than just always chasing the performance side of thing, which is just like the elite, but it's not really representative of the majority of the people.
And
I don't know about you guys. I just want to do backflips, so whatever.
Well, all right. So I'm going to interject here. I'm going to throw a plug in for Mack Kiteboarding since we're here. But seriously, if you go to our YouTube channel, we had this guy come on board this year, Stein Eric, and so Eric is our wingboard instructor. But he's been teaching. He's 60 years old, and he's been teaching wing sports, and he taught at Vail. He's been doing kids camps.
He's a great instructor.
He's an instructor.
Absolutely.
That's what he is. He's a master instructor, and he brought us a program about how to teach wing surfing, wingboarding, and it's all based around using an inner tube to start, and then a board that's anchored, and then moving forward. And he really breaks down the super basics. And we have an 8-part beginner series right now on Mack Kiteboarding. So anybody who's listening to this podcast who's a kiteboarder and goes, "Hey, I'm interested," or more importantly, you have a wife and kids, and you're like, "Man, it'd be sure nice if my wife and kids would go to the beach with me, because then I could do 6 hours instead of 2 hours." I mean, we got to know how to sell to our families. This is critical. But if you go and you watch that 8-part series, it is designed 100% around Aaron's 10-year-old son and the 7-year-old girl. That's the group we need to get these kids going. So
yeah, that's awesome, Steve.
Yeah.
You know what's, first off, Andrew, thanks for chiming in. He's been following the Mack videos and Tucker's winging videos. So Andrew, right on. That's the greatest thing, is when people get inspired and they live through this and learn it. And, I wanted to tap on something because I think this is pretty rad, but I think this wind sport brings in wonderful people, right? Like you guys. I guess all water sports are great, but this is a great way to, find unique people. That's what drew me in. It's a really rad demographic of people that are special, and you can see it right here, right? You guys have been doing it 40 years and 20 years. And I think wing foiling and kite surfing, and it's not, nobody's trying to outdo somebody. It's like, we want to do it, right? And I want to do it with a lot of you guys and do it downwinder and have fun. And I think that's what's so cool, is it can bring really quality of life and to people. That's what I think.
Yeah. Amen, Damo.
Yeah. Yesterday on the beach, some guy came up to me and goes, "I've been kiting for a year." And he goes, "This is amazing." He goes, "Everybody's so nice." He goes, "I used to be in motorsports and everybody was a jerk." And I mean, like, no, you could just see, like what you just said, Damo, his face was lit up, and it was like, yes.
Yeah. We kind of forget about that a little bit, but like, I grew up a ski racer, and I wouldn't say it was as, it's different, it's just a different mentality. And I think something about wind, it's never the same. You're not going to go out and get the same day. It could be 50 below one day and sunny the next day. It's like, you just don't know what you're going to get. So it's kind of I think it draws a unique person, and a unique person to be open to the conditions and the challenges and helping others. I feel like every beach you go to these days, with whether it's kiting or winging or whatever it is, everybody's out to help each other, like within reason. I mean, of course, there's a few people out there, I won't name names, but but in theory, that's kind of what makes this sport so special. And for you guys to be doing it so long and helping so many people in your database of just tons of people you've helped, I think that's so spectacular. And we just wanted to have you on here and say thanks from the whole industry, truthfully. And I know it's never said, but there's a lot of people being helped, and I think that's the most important thing, is living a quality life. And that's what obviously Gwen and I have been trying to motivate people to do that. But as we kind of round down these podcasts, we always like to leave on a really positive or any kind of informative message that you guys could share. And I'd love to have Steve give me your thought, and then Aaron, give me your thought on what you could leave somebody, a message right now that you'd want to say to them to, hopefully inspire them to do whatever they want to do, whether it's wing sports or just in life in general. So go ahead, and Steve, let's hear what you got.
Oh, wow. Now he just throws these out right around. I am super blessed. I've been doing this for 40 years. I owned a toy shop. I used to fly kites competitively. If your work can't be your passion, which I'm fortunate it is, find your passion and get up in the morning and make sure you make time for that passion and figure out what that is. And if you're listening to this podcast, there's a pretty good chance it's wind sports. And, take a look at what you're doing in the wind sports currently right now and go, how can I extend that time? You know, and again, that's why I say about the you know, getting your kids out, getting your family out. When people would come in to me when we used to carry skis, they would go, well, you know, my wife won't go on ski vacations. I go, yeah, but she'll go to Aruba. They're like, yeah, I should learn how to kiteboard. So try to find that time. Actually, Aaron actually has a couple of videos on, you know, how to sneak that extra time in. So, you know, get up every week and kind of look at the forecast, figure it out. Talk to your boss about the 15 knot rule. Say, you know, boss, when it's blowing 15 knots, I'm out at 2 o'clock. Try to find that passion and get out there and go do it.
Amen. I'm holding off on giving you a hug right now because that would just be weird, but it's in there. It's in there.
He's known as Huggy Bear.
Oh no, that's spectacular, Steve. I mean, and Joe right here, Joe chimed in. Joe, we appreciate you, and for sure, Aaron, what do you have to say?
You know, Damo, on a similar line, I feel like we come across a lot of people, whether we run into them on the beach. I was just talking to a guy who just moved up from Grand Rapids the other day. They bought a condo over here, and he was drawn in by, you know, watching people out here on the water and having fun. And I feel like there's kind of two kinds of people. They look at kiteboarding and they think, oh, wow, that's cool. How do I get into this? Or they're just people that because you can't not see somebody if you're near the water and people are kiteboarding, you can't not see it. And they see it and they're like, oh yeah, it looks cool. And then they're on to whatever they're doing. But the people, the first crowd, the people who are like, oh wow, that looks fun. Can I do that? I would say, well, yeah, reach down here and check real quick. If you got a pulse, if that's kicking and you got some passion in here and that looks fun to you, what you're watching out there on the water, take a lesson. Stop what you're doing, pick up the phone right now, call your nearest lesson center, Google it. They're everywhere now, and take a lesson. That's I think square one, because I think a lot of people, they have some misconceptions about what we're doing out there, and they think, oh, you probably have to do 100 push-ups in a row to be able to, or 100 pull-ups to be able to kiteboard, and it's a misconception. You know, we know that it's more finesse than anything, and so I would just, boy, remove the barrier, take the leap, and go take a lesson, and you'll never look back.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. Well said.
Sometimes you look at like Kylie and you think like, this is amazing, but it's not me. Mm-hmm. But going back to that story of that like 7-year-old girl having, a blast on the water, like I feel like we need to keep that like kid inside us. Like where like you just go out and like, yeah, maybe the conditions are not perfect. You might not be able to do a backflip, or you might look like a crook or whatever. Dude. But like she didn't care. She didn't care about anything that was around her. She didn't care that she was the only one on the stand-up paddle or whatever. Yeah. She was just, enjoying what she was doing, because to her level, it was like, that's the most fun thing I'm doing. Like, so sometimes we kind of like tend to forget, and we build up some frustration because wingfoiling is hard and kiteboarding is hard, and it can be scary when you learn, and but just trying to like enjoy the process and like not be so focused on what is the my end goal, like looking like Kylie. Like today I was able to get up, and that's amazing. Today I was able to go out and back, and I didn't have to walk up wind. Like just enjoying the process all along the way, because in the end, like you are never arrived. Like you are never you always have something to work toward. Sure. So it's that way of getting there that's the most important, and take the first step.
Amen. Yes. That's it.
Well said. And truthfully, just to relate it to life, when you go in and you submit a job application, you're scared, you're nervous. Is it right? Is it finished? Is it there? Is it whatever? I'm not sure. Are they going to like me? It's the same thing. Like go to the beach, talk to the guy with the kite. I don't know. I shouldn't talk to him. He's like really good, or he's, I don't know, like it's the same thing. So it just takes, I think Aaron, you said it, was just take that step, take a lesson, give it a shot, ask a question, say, hey, I want to try this. There's no wrong question. There's nothing you can ask that's, inappropriate. You just got to go there and give it a shot and take that step and live your best life, for sure. No matter what it is, whether it's in the wing industry, for sure. I feel like the wing industry has some incredible humans. So I would say I highly recommend it. But I would say if you're struggling to just get out of your house, man, just take that step and get out and go talk to somebody. And I think your life will change, super fast. But Man, you guys are awesome. I wish I could be there. Gwen's so lucky to be there with you guys. I mean, Steve, I used to come compete like every year. I love that place.
Yeah, but now you throw Kid in the mix. Your life's
Yeah.
changing.
But you know
In a
what
good
you
way.
said right there. Yeah, in a good way. Literally, I can, all I'm thinking about is, okay, how do I get on a board and my wife down there? And it's the same thing what you guys are saying. How do I get the whole family to go have this fun down there? Because it's all achievable, and maybe a little selfish. I get more time down there, So,
Right.
That's
right.
not selfish. That's good family value.
Yeah, exactly. That's good family values. Exactly. Yeah.
That's a hard balance.
Well,
yeah.
I gotta throw one more quick thing in. So this is the Aaron Johnson rule. So Aaron worked for me for 10 years. He left for 3 years and went to work for a boat company and realized that it was a little snobby out of his range. Sorry, action. Anyway, so Aaron came back this year, but Aaron has the key to being a good friend in the kite industry. If you are going to a new beach and you're a newer rider, you do want to ride around people and ask them for advice and help. There's absolutely no question. Because B, they're probably going to save you, because all of us have been rescued or rescued somebody at one time. And so next time you go to the beach and you're going to be there, swing by Little Caesars or Pizza Hut or whatever and grab a couple of pizzas for $10 and show up at the beach, and you will make more friends for $10 than you can possibly imagine.
Amen.
So grab your pizza. It's the Johnson rule.
It's a simple investment.
Man, you might even get free lessons out of it.
I'm just saying.
Well, look, thank you guys so much for joining this. You guys are inspiring people, and what you guys do for the industry is absolutely remarkable. And there's so many happy humans out there enjoying the sport. And if anybody out there is listening, go to Mack Kites and take a look at their website and take a look at it and give them a call and book lessons and talk to these people. They're great humans. Gwen, what do you have to say? We got to jump into our private Patreon thing, but how do you want to end this thing?
Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Check out the link in the description if you want to join the post show, which we are going to right now, which is a bit more of a private conversation with our supporters. So if you sign up on our Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you get access, early access to our videos, and you get access to the private post show live with our guests. So that supports us, helps us, makes it possible for us to do this and make more videos and share the passion. So check out the link in the description, and if not, we will see you next week.
Anything else to say from Aaron and Steve?
Get out and ride.
That's it. That's it.
Damo, thank you.
Put on some booties and some gloves if you come here.
Hey, I know a shop that sells those.
No, we really appreciate you guys, and we're going to switch it over, but thank you guys so much, and everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we love you all out there. So thank you so much, and until next time.
Thank you, Damo. Thanks buddy.
Damo.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gwen.